I will get started by sharing my screen. Right. So I think some of you have already got a sense of what the tools can do, but for those who are new to Gooey AI, basically it's a no-code AI workflow platform. We've got more than 12 wonderful workflows that allow you to almost stitch together different kinds of AIs and build interesting products, build interesting texts and images, all through the web page, and it's super simple to use. There's no setup required, no coding skills required, and they range from using GPT-3 for SEO, right up till lip sync for your videos, all the way right at the bottom to these very wonderful text-based AI tools as well, which we have done in the past workshops and will repeat probably in a few weeks. So today we are going to look at my favorite tool from all of these is the animation generator. Could you just raise your hands and let me, or like do a thumbs up and let me know how many are from a visual background or have, if you are from a visual background, maybe you can do, I don't know, what would be an interesting emoji to use. I don't know, whatever you'd like, maybe just a thumbs up, either in the chat or in the reactions. Or if you are from an AI kind of background, maybe you can put that celebration kind of emoji. Okay. Right. Okay. So basically, I think everyone's been. Do you want to do the poll now, Swati, or?
Yeah, we can do the initial poll. I think it'll be easier for people to respond there.
Yeah.
So you'll just see a little poll pop up on your screen, and it'll just take you a few seconds to answer it, but it'll just give us a better idea of how well you understand AI and how it works here. Okay, looks like most of you all feel that you don't know where to begin with AI. Ambika, can you see the results?
No, I'm not able to see the results. I think
okay, I'll just
asking me to take the survey. Okay, super. Okay, so then don't know where to begin, then begin at Gooey. I think that's like the best place to start. So basically, I think most of us all already have been hearing about all the tools like DALL-E and all the other image generation tools that are available like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. What Gooey is able to do is like bring almost all of them in one platform, and you can build images based on your text prompts. What is interesting is that we were able to then add in a very interesting tool that a bunch of open source folks had built, which was allowing you to put in the prompt and make an animation out of it. So here you see that I have two prompts actually. One is a wide angle street photo of Warsaw, which is in Bombay. And the second one is the interior of a pub in the evening. So as you will notice that it kind of, are you guys able to see it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, super, thank you. You'll notice that it's kind of zooming into this city scene, and at some point you'll see a transition into the insides of a little bar pub kind of a space. So this is all through AI text to image generation. This doesn't have any specific visual input from me, aside from being more like an art director and describing the prompt. And it's purely working on that idea of prompting. And what is interesting and kind of helpful within this tool is that it allows you to do some kind of camera movements. And if you are coming in from more visual backgrounds, it may not be so difficult to understand. There's a zoom and then there's a pan, and which can be vertical or horizontal. And there are also like frames per second. Now, once you've signed into Gooey, which we hope you all have by now, in the bottom, in the top right, you will observe that there is your name and the email address that you're signed in from, and it'll tell you the number of credits that you have. When you sign in for the first time, you get 1,000 credits, and then, sorry, mine are a little bit unfair, the number of credits I have, but and then the 1,000 credits can give you like almost about 200 or 300 images. And then when you're running your number of frames here in your animation, based on the number of frames, it will change out the credit cost that I have. So here, if I just wanted to do 10 frames, which is even less than a second because it's a default of 12 frames per second, we have like 3 credits that it will use. Whereas if I were to do 400 frames, it will go up to 100 credits. So this is just for you to keep tabs on how many credits you end up using. And of course, since you're attending the workshop, you get an extra 1,000 credits for your time today. I just want to do a very small animation, and maybe somebody can give me the name of a city that they would like to visit, which I will change out here, and maybe a space that they would like to visit, say like a garden or hi Aarti, nice to see you here, and or maybe like a cafe or a beer garden, and maybe give a city where that might be. So I'll just change these out and we'll do a very quick maybe like 50 frame animation to see what it looks like. Okay, I got London. Right, so maybe I'll do that now. Okay, I got the first 2, so I'll be fair to the fastest fingers. And I'm going to use the same prompt, but just change out the city. So in the first one, it's going to be Bangalore. And in the second, CTO has put London. And then I will, it also gives you a runtime. So it's like 5 seconds per frame. So 5 times 50 is, so 250 seconds approximately. So we'll just run that. And while that's running, I have not changed anything in the settings. Okay, sorry. Oh yes, I made a mistake here. So there are two different text prompts here. So the first one I wanted to start at the 0 or the first frame, and the second one I want to start somewhere in the middle. So say like the 25th frame, because it's only 50 frames total. And then I'll just hit submit, and it'll quickly run this. Do note that maybe because it's a lot of us in the workshop running it together, it might be a little bit slow, but like when you do it on your own, it's usually as per that approximation shared by the team. So I'll quickly show you a couple of others that I've tried. Like I did this one of a very silly one of Indiana Jones moving from holding the like this whatever this torch to moving into jumping inside a this thing. And then there is also a horizontal pan movement that's going. So this is also very small. I think it's about only 100 frames. So it's like 8 seconds. And I have put in some settings for the movement of the camera. So let's see if this is ready. It's still on the way. And then another couple. So once you're waiting for your runs, or you've done a couple of them, they all show up here in your history. So I have a few more which perhaps I can show you while we're waiting. So this is a silly one where it's astronaut who's first in Bombay and then moves into New York. So because these are like little bit smaller in their in the time, in the number of frames, You don't see it as apparently, but you can definitely see that one is Bombay and one is New York. I have a few more examples here, which I'll share with you, and then I'll give you a bit of a idea of how to do prompting. And then a wonderful user of this particular tool has very kindly accepted to show off his work. So that'll be nice for all of us to see what he's up to and how he's using the tool. So this one you've seen, it's just a movement of through the city of Bombay. Right now, the output that you get and this is now moving into Warsaw, the output that you get is 512 by 512. It's only square for the moment, but we are also like figuring how people are enjoying the tools, what they want, and then building on top of those ideas. So here you saw it was only a straight zoom in, like almost like you're zooming in with your camera. And in the second one, you'll see that there's also a little bit of a horizontal pan. So I'll share this presentation slides as well. So all of these animations are available on these runs, and you can just tweak them however you feel best. And so if I do a 1.004, it moves from right to left, and if I did a -1, it would have moved left to right. So if I open this particular run, I can see the prompts and what were the settings that I added. So here again, it's between Warsaw and in Bombay and Warsaw in Poland. And it's about 200 frames. And in the settings, you'll observe that I have no zoom setting. So if you keep it at 1, there's no zoom. And then there's a horizontal pan, which is making it move this way. I'll just run through the other few and maybe I can share the slides. Yes, I will get to that once we look at prompting. We haven't spoken about that as of now. So here, so this is a vertical one, where instead of like going right to left, it's going top to bottom. And then we have one which is slightly more complex, where it's zooming till like the 50th, the 49th frame. I will teach you all this, don't worry. Just showing you some variation, and then we can do a little bit of workshopping with it. Where it's moving, it's zooming in, and then at halfway of the video, it will stop the zoom, and the pan will start going a bit faster on the top. So it's like moving upwards like this. Then yeah, so basically these are the frames for the first video, where it was just for this last video, where it is moving left to right and going up a little bit, which is basically like a horizontal and a vertical pan. So you can see that I've kind of extracted all of the frames to just show you how it looks. So it starts off with that first shot of like a city street level, and then as you reach the 50th frame, which is here, the zoom stops, but the horizontal pan takes over, and then you can see it's moving towards the left of the like camera kind of movement. So what you do observe is that there's this like slight transition looking thing. So basically what the AI is doing is that it takes this first image that it creates out of, for the sake of this presentation, we'll say out of thin air. And then what it does is that every single next frame, based on our settings, it tries to create a similar looking image, but the seed number moves iteratively. So it moves, instead of going a random seed. So I'll tell you about seed also, don't worry. So it basically, imagine it like how you would if you had, say, 4 pictures which were of this kind of a perspective drawing of a city street, and there's only like one small difference in each of that particular drawing. You're drawing the same thing over and over, but there's only one small thing you're changing. So maybe every time the building is looking just a little bit different. So as you'll observe that the building here in this part it changes quite a bit by the time you reach the 20th frame, and by the time you reach the 77th frame, it's turned from a smaller building to a bigger high rise that is more apparent in Bombay. So this is how the tool works, and then of course you see that it's coming back to like showing you like this 3-story kind of a building. So this is basically how the tool works, that it iteratively changes the image, like one little small change after the other, which is why you feel like it's kind of doing this smooth transition. But when you see that, say in the video for the more action oriented thing, where we've moved from, say, the very like still looking portrait of Indiana Jones to something jumping, you see that I've done it at frame 10. So that's basically like at that point you can see that there's this like big change that's happening. So what we'll do now is I will just tell you how image prompting works. And then maybe you guys can do a small run, and while we are waiting for that run to generate, Theo can talk about his explorations with the animation. So prompting works quite simply. I think instead of this link, maybe I will share the help.gooey link. So what we've been trying to do is update all of our learning links here. So at the bottom, you'll see that we've put all of our how-to videos, and the prompting guide is also available here at the bottom, which is this one. So what I'm going to help you here is to understand how Stable Diffusion understands your prompt. I think it's just to put it in the easiest terms, it's like if you are in a space where you are able to direct somebody to build an image for you, you have to use a language that they understand. Like I can say, okay, build me a scene on Mars where there is someone standing in the middle. Now, I haven't said who that someone is. I don't know where this artist is from. So maybe when they put that scene on Mars and they put that someone as a male, maybe they put them as a female, maybe they don't put them in a astronaut suit. Maybe they are themselves space travelers, and they know that you don't need oxygen, you don't need a astronaut suit on Mars. I don't know. So I think it's need to be set to anyone can view. Okay, I will do that, no problem. Which one do you mean, the link above, or do you mean this particular one? You can talk on the mic, it's totally okay. It's just a few of us. I hope this works. Let me know. So just to I think you're on it, so that's great. So just to give you a sense of what that means is that it's like, just like humans, the AI also has its own like histories and its own biases, and when you ask it to build something, it works from that background. So the more descriptive your prompt is, the more easy it is for the AI to understand what you're trying to build. However, there is also a simple sentence structure that it requires, which allows it to give you images closer to what you're imagining. So here, suppose I say that, okay, I want a fantasy image of an astronaut in the middle of Bombay, and they are wearing some unusual clothes and they're hugging a human. This is pretty vague if I describe this to somebody to draw themselves, or like just like make a little sketch. So the breakdown of writing a prompt, at least for Stable Diffusion, that works really well, is to first suggest the medium. So you say, is it a sculpture or a photograph or a 3D render? Then you detail out the subject. So whether is it a human, is it a god, is it a goat, is it a where are they from, whatever. Then you may suggest a style that, okay, I want it to look cinematic, I want it to look like an animation style, like an anime, a manga thing, or I want it to look like a 3D render or like an Unreal Engine kind of render. And then finally you add a little more detail in terms of how do you contextualize it. So, okay, there is this god and they are wearing an astronaut suit, but where are they? Are they in the middle of Bombay? Are they in the middle of Warsaw? Where are they? Are they on Mars? Whatever. So we'll just quickly run through this, and then I will request you guys to just do a small animation yourselves. So for example, here now I've written, okay, a Bollywood film still of a cyberpunk astronaut who's also a god, and they're hugging another person, and they're in the middle of Bombay, and there are some sun rays falling on the street. It's kind of got cinematic lighting, and it looks a bit like, some Indian temple statues. Now, some of the things, different models read differently. Some Stable Diffusion 1 point something will read it differently, or like Protogen will read it differently, or DALL-E will read it differently. But then it's up to you to figure out what works for you best and like kind of tweak it a little bit. So now these are all of the generators that we've got on our compare image generator tool. And it's the same prompt, all of the same settings, but every single generator has given me a different looking image. So usually this is useful to figure, okay, what look best for me, and then kind of whittle down from there. Unfortunately, we have only one model running on the animation tool, but hopefully if things look like they're going somewhere with this, we can definitely update that as we go on. So yeah, you can see all of them, and then I can choose whichever one. There is a nice bunch of videos to learn about this as well, so you can go through that. And then you can pick the one that you like, tweak the settings, add some prompting, more prompts to it, and work it out that way. So I'll quickly go now to the animation generator tool. Maybe we'll add it here in the chat. I'll request you to just turn it down to say 50 frames. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay, seems like I'm fine. So you can just put in, say, like at the half of that animation. So you do like 0 to say 25th frame, and the 25th frame you want it to change. And you can put in any two things that you might want to see in your animation. Maybe you want to see, I don't know, a beautiful green parrot perched on a tree. Don't think about it too much. It's just for you to understand how to run the tool, and then you can keep tweaking as you green what parrot. And then maybe the second run that I do is for say wild jaguar sitting on a rock. So if you've opened the generator in the default link, does animation prompt need to be the same level of detail as the image generator? It has to be. The tools are developed a little bit differently in terms of their UX. So I will tell you how you can kind of get the right thing for yourself. Yes, I think the more detailed you are, the better it looks. It's just that. But sometimes if it's something that's very popularly trained on these tools, on the larger Stable Diffusion images, on the data sets, they turn out to be quite good looking without doing too much. So we'll keep it at 50 frames, and we'll keep all the settings as default. So mine are different, but yours should be 1.004. And all of this should be, I think, 0 if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Let me just open this. Check. Yeah. Cool. So now what we'll do is just whatever your prompts are, just hit run. It's going to take a couple of maybe like, I don't know, just like 200 seconds or whatever. And then I will hand it over to Theo, and he can talk to us a bit about how he's making his animations, and maybe show any run where you're comfortable to share the prompts and the settings. Theo, is that okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes, okay. So just a quick intro on Theo. He's a very talented design student studying in Switzerland, and I think maybe it'll be nice if he introduces himself. And he has someone to help him if the English is getting a bit too much. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. Perhaps you can answer them while the rest of the session is going on. Are you able to access the screen share?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
So my name is Theo. I come from Geneva, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. In the different experimentation I do with Gooey, I was interested by the exploration of the generation of typography to see how the intelligence artificial will create the typography. So I have two videos who compile all the prompt I do. I will show you. Voilà. It's okay. So just I found interesting to do a prompt like that because the transition create from the the result of this different prompt are interesting because the transition create form of the letter and the transition between the different letter doesn't exist, and it can be an inspiration for type design. And for a student graphic form like me, it's interesting to use to create later or for inspiration. And I have another video. It's more longer, so if it's too long, you can tell me when I stop, and that's it. Ouais. And that's it. I don't know what to say more, but it's a great tools for me and to find inspiration and it can be a great tools for a person who do some video and to use it like a green screen in background and that's it. And my prompt, okay, so let me just 1 minute. Ah, c'est bancal. Hein. So I prompt like 5 or 10 animation, and after I use all the results and I use it in Premiere Pro, Adobe, to do a compilation. And for example, voilà. For all the prompt, I found interesting to use keywords like billboard, typography, and sometimes a type of typography, for example, Gothic or straight typography, and that's it.
Beautiful. Do you want to answer another question here? It is from RT. Feels like there's a double translation happening in the machine learning model. It's taking inspiration from existing typography, and then you are taking inspiration from the model. So what do you think this double translation adds or removes in your creative process? If you feel comfortable to give an answer in French, or do you prefer French or German? And then maybe Alexia can translate if that makes it easier for you. Yeah, because it's
I'm just going to help translate.
Yeah.
Du coup, en fait, elle te demande, il y a la transition du machine learning, enfin des deux, tu vois, comme outil pour interpréter le machine learning, etc. Et du coup, comment, what do you think this double translation adds or remove in your creative process? Donc, comment cette transition, qu'est-ce qu'elle ajoute ou elle enlève dans ton process créatif? Si tu peux dire en français, puis je peux traduire.
Ouais. Bah, en gros, c'est intéressant comme processus parce que la transition d'une lettre à l'autre dans le prompt crée des formes qui n'existent pas. Et donc, ça permet aussi d'avoir un nouveau regard sur la création de lettres et de formes typographiques.
So Theo is saying that it adds to his process because you have the transition between, what he really likes is the transition between like different letters or different style of fonts. And he really would like to explore the transition as an inspiration to create typefaces. So I think at the moment it's adding to his process.
Ouais, voilà.
And yes, if we could add ChatGPT, but I think that was a lot for Theo right now. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Voilà.
Thank you. Do you want to share something else or?
No, I have no more to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexia, for the translation. I will share my screen again. Right. So this is still running, but our prompt, which was generated between Bangalore and London should be ready. So I will quickly open that. If someone's animation has come through, if it has generated, maybe you'd like to share that in the chat. So we were doing, yeah, Bangalore and London. So hopefully this is giving me something. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. I don't know. Are these looking like London and Bangalore? Yeah, maybe this looks a bit Indian, and this one is looking a bit more. Maybe we can specify like, okay, we want Soho in London and maybe Basangudi in Bangalore or something. It might give us some interesting results. This is still running for me. So by that time, I will just run you through all the settings that are available within the animation tool. And then I'm going to add some more examples here and we'll share it again with you in the morning. So let me just run you through the settings in a couple of examples that we have. So many tabs, I'm sorry. Right, so this one is got 3 prompts in it, and the settings are for a 2D animation. I'll explain to you what that means. And then it's got no zoom, no horizontal pan, but in the vertical pan, it's from 0 to 50, it's there is no movement. And then from the 50th frame, it's moving upwards. And then from the 100th frame, it's moving downwards. So that looks something like this. Sorry. I haven't tried that, but I'm not certain if clip which is used in Stable Diffusion can understand other languages so well, but I could be wrong. But that's in fact a good question. I will have to check that up. So right, so basically this is now it didn't move and then it started moving upwards, and then the prompt was for birds, so it gave us birds, and then it started coming back down into New York. So it's interesting to see how this works. It kind of gives you like, okay, you're kind of doing this little video transition from Bangalore or Bombay, and then you see the birds, and then you come back and then you're in New York. So these kind of things are possible. I will now, has anyone's run come through? Okay, mine has. So things like, parrots are very popular in the data set, so they usually turn out quite decently. And then because it was a green parrot and we didn't specify that we wanted what colored jaguar, it's kind of taken on a bit of that green tone. I'll give you some thoughts on how we could kind of reduce that. And then I will also show you some of my past work with this tool, which I've been using for my own artistic practice. So in terms of the prompting, prompts, aside from the fact that you need to suggest to the tool that, okay, this is the format in which I want the prompt to run, it's also useful sometimes to put in a negative prompt. So say if you're going to do a busy street, but you don't want people and you don't want cars, then you need to put that negative prompt in that, okay, I don't want these things. So if I were to show you these two particular prompts, here there is no negative prompt, it's the same prompt, and here I've put in a negative prompt because we put in the prompt originally that it needs to be like this temple style and stuff. It is veering towards giving it this more saffron kind of feel, which I felt at that time at least. So, and then I also felt like the hands are looking a bit strange, so then I just said, okay, don't give any hands that look a bit odd. Don't give the saffron color, make sure that they don't look crazy or whatever. So that's all that I've done in terms of changing these two prompts, where I said that, okay, don't give me these things, but I still want most of what is there in this prompt. So usually in the image editor tool, there is a section in the settings which allows you to add negative prompts in detail. That's not available here. So usually what does work is that you can say either no, like this, and then add what you want. But I've also found that if you do it like a weighted prompt, that works better. So what I do is basically, I will show you that particular example where I've used it. Sorry, yeah, it's here. Oh, sorry, not this one. Okay, so many tabs. My apologies. Right here. So here you see that I have put a colon and then I said 1. And then for people, I said -1. So when you are in the pub, you do observe that there are no people here. So you can do things like that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like to people. You can do it for colors. So say I don't want purples, then I can say purple : -1. So the idea is that the first part is completely with this 1 colon and 1. And then whatever is in my negative, I can add here. So I can add more things like I don't want it to be out of frame or whatever else I want to say. So this is a quick way to kind of make sure that, okay, my render looked good, but I feel like I don't want so many birds or whatever, like I don't want any birds. So how do I make sure that that comes through? So to give you a sense of how the prompting works, it's this, that it takes in the prompt and then the negative prompt. So, and then now I'll just do a bit, go into a little bit on the settings, because they are quite useful if you're like trying to make a longer piece. And I will show you older one, hopefully it loads. So here you see that the setting has 2D and 3D. So basically think of it like there's a camera, and then in one animation mode, it only allows you to pan and zoom. But if you do a 3D settings, which is here, there's a question here. Okay, nice. I'll open this as well. Okay, where were we? Yeah. So when I open the 3D animation settings, what it also adds to the settings is that you can do a rotation of the camera, or you can the camera is on a single pivot and it's moving around a certain pivot. So that is what it's allowing me to do with rotate left and right. And then the same thing is it allows me to do, maybe you can see my fingers in the camera. It allows me to do that in the top to down format. So what I'll do here is, perhaps I'll just take one prompt for the parrot, and I will run the settings to be 3D, and then I will add a rotation that's moving up to down, and put in a value of 3 maybe. So if I do positive, it should move upwards, and if I do negative, it should move downwards. So maybe I'll change this. What is this? Rotate up. So yeah, so in the personalized section, you can change the title of your run. So this can be easy for you to remember when you're going through the histories that are here. So then you'll know, okay, this was my Indiana Jones run versus whatever else. And then when you share it also, it turns up on the top. So I'll do rotate up, and then I will run this only with the green parrot. And until then, we'll just see Right. But I don't see the tea house interior. Yeah. So here, whose prompt was this? James, right? James, you have to add a prompt here and then add your second prompt specifically in a separate text box. So, because currently I can see that almost all of it is looking like the first prompt, and your prompts at the bottom are very different because it includes like a tea house interior, which is definitely not like. So you want to move your prompts into these separate boxes, tell it which frame number you want it to be at, and then hit run. Now I will try to share some of the other things I've done with this tool on another tab. Juan has done a run, so maybe we'll have a look at that as well. Anyone else would like to share it? Any other questions? Anyone wants to show something? So Ashley has shared something very nice. I will share both Juan's, Alexia, and Swasli. Very nice. So this is Juan's, where he's moving from a beach to a city with green buildings. So that's what it's done here. You can see that it's tried to iterate on top of the palm trees, or whatever, the coconut trees, and build the green around it here. So this is the format. So like it's very interesting to see, like if you want to make transitions, then you kind of try to recall, as even Theo said, that where's the last prompt going, and then perhaps move it from there. Wild garden with colorful flowers moves to a full moon in the midnight sky. Really nice, very cool. And then we have person wearing a hat on MG Road versus person wearing a hat in. So do you feel it's different in terms of your understanding of Bangalore? So Hasini, like, did it give you a result closer to the prompt?
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I guess it's like, you know, how detailed you can go with it in that sense. And then I just wanted to show you one small video that I've done. And then you can kind of like, specifically because there are few creators here, you may not want to just see the streets of Bangalore. Is the chat thing coming in the way? No. So the first part of this video is based on that transition style, where it is a person sitting and working on a computer. So it's moving again in that iterative way. And then from there, it's like she's, instead of using the computer, she's folding laundry. Of course, it didn't give such a good image of that. And then the last part of the prompt is that there's a child with her while she's folding the laundry. And then it moves back to her on a computer. So So in that sense, like if you are really detailed in your prompting and then you know where the transition needs to go, it's quite easy to get it to evoke the kind of work that you want to and the kind of emotions that you're looking for. So there's another one someone has shared in the chat. So are there any questions at this point? Like we do have very little time, but I'm happy to like extend if people want to hang out and if there are any questions, we can answer them.
Thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Okay, we're still loading.
Is it possible to go over the transition part again? Is it just adding a frame and defining
Yes.
it? Or?
Yes. I just go through that again. So for example, sorry, okay, my computer is also getting a bit slow, but hopefully we are able to succeed. So for example, this one is like cappuccino art turns into coffee seeds, turns back into. So basically you can see it says 0, 80 and 120. So if I go to this particular run, right. So I have 200 frames. So just think about it in the most traditional sense of an animated film, that it has a like number of frames or any film. So you can define those frames and you can set the frame rate. So if it is say 190 frames here, which I've given, I can set that, okay, it is 12 frames per second, which gave me a video of about approximately 16 seconds. So I can make it like more, like have a much longer video, like number of frames, and then say that I want it to be like perfect 26 or like 30 frames per second or even 60. But at least in this tool, I found that going so high, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. About 12 to 18 looks fine. So basically I'm saying that the 0 frame, which is the first frame, give me the cappuccino art and keep giving me cappuccino art until the 80th frame, the 79th frame. So the 79th frame, it wants to transition from being cappuccino art to being coffee seeds. And then on the 120th frame, it's going back to that. So if I play this, because I said leaf art and like I said cappuccino foam of a leaf art of a foam art of leaf, it's also giving me that leaf at the bottom. But then as we are moving through the animation, you see that the coffee beans start to appear within that coffee cup itself. Because what it does is it takes the previous frame. So the 79th frame is half of the prompt of the 80th frame. So it's like instead of same, it's just like an animation, like a cell animation. So like you have those transparent sheets, and I think Archana can explain that really well, but then you're moving from one to the other, so it's kind of taking that the reference of that past sheet, and then it is building on top of that. It's not going to totally change drastically to something new. And then that's what's happening here, that when you go back to the format, it just removed all the coffee and then it went back to being format. So this can be played with really well. So say for example, buildings, if I'm doing like even your own prompt from where was that from? Sorry, I'll have to see it again.
Bangalore.
From MG Road to
Pardaranpura.
Pardaranpura. Okay. So you see that the kind of layout almost is the same. It's like really trying to build on top of the previous image in a way. So that's what that's where that feeling of the transition is coming from. So say if it was not Bangalore and you had moved it to a totally different city somewhere else, it would have tried to do the same thing. So instead of this kind of shikara kind of look here, it might work. How I don't see that now. Understand better it works. Okay. And then it moves towards the other one. So, and then what happens is that as the transition is moving, based on the other settings that you have, say you have a zoom or you have a pan, it tries to build the image based on that. So now here it's only zooming in. So it really has nothing much to do in terms of like, it's just a 1-point perspective that's moving. But say if I had to like shift it left to right, like in the other images that we have here, maybe this one. No, not this one. Oof, I'm like some tab police will come and attack me. So many tabs. Like this one, for example. So this particular one has pan going up and then coming back down again, a vertical pan. So if you see the way it's moving, is that you see that, okay, the path is getting cut and you can see that the sky is a little bit more. And then I've used that sky to build birds because it's easy, that kind of images are available in the data set. And then we are coming back down, it's like a cityscape. So here you can see that it's used that same kind of those blobs, shall we say, like the larger blocks, and tried to build the details on top of that. So it's, and I didn't specify where these birds were flying. Say I had specifically said Bombay, then the buildings would have continued to look a bit more like this. But it veered towards a more Western, like corporate kind of skyline. So, and then here again, it's coming back to being a city. But of course, because it transitioned, you can also see that the angle has changed a little bit. So those are the things that are possible. So usually what's interesting is to just kind of think of how the transitions are happening. So if I'm going upwards, it's easy for me to logically assume that I can do a bunch of birds. And then suppose I didn't put the birds and I said keep going up, you know, at some point it's just going to become blue and then there'll be nothing that it will show. So these are experiments you'll have to like try on your own and see where it's going. Usually, because I know we are all limited on credit, my suggestion is to, and I think Theo is also doing it that way, that you make these smaller prompts and smaller videos and see how they're looking, and then see how you want them to kind of build on top of each other. So now the last thing that of course is regenerate. If you've been to the past workshops, you know that it just changes the seed number. So here, if I had to do a regenerate, it will try to give me a similar image, but through the prompts, but there will be a nuanced difference in terms of the look of that image. So we'll just wait for this also while it's running. Sorry, did anybody have another question?
What's the maximum possible in terms of zoom and pan and all that? Is it 100 or?
So the zooming, I think, works between 1 to like, say, I think like 5, but it becomes really fast even if I do like a 1.2 or a 1.4. So I think like if you want to do a little bit faster, you just maybe change it to 1.0 and whatever number afterwards. But if you go like directly to 1.5 or 2, it's going to just like speed through the animation and it'll look really strange. And that's for the zoom. For the pan and the rotates that are there in the 3D, I found that you can go integer based. So like you don't have to go into the decimals. You can try 1, 2, 3, 4 and then like determine the speed based on that. And so while this is regenerating, I can try to pull out some more examples. There are. Is that it? Do you guys want to proceed? Do you have any other questions? Do you want to join the Discord and continue the conversation there? Sorry, the Q Discord link. Okay, sorry, seems to be some error. I can try to do a few more examples and then share those with you guys in the slides, and then maybe that's easier. And of course, if you have questions, you can write into us anytime. We'll be happy to help you out. Yeah, is that it? Swati, have I missed anything?
I think
Thanks,
we're good. And you can always ask us any further follow-up questions on Discord, or you can write to us on support@gooey.ai or swati@gooey.ai. I'll just leave our emails there. I just wanted to do the quick poll that we do at the end and just takes a few seconds, if that's okay with everyone.
Yes,
If you
please.
have to hop off, then that's fine.
Thanks, Vasini. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining from wherever you've joined. And if you'd like to share what you're doing with us, we'll happily reshare it with others. And if you have feedback in terms of what other things you'd like for the tools, please let us know. Usually our development team is very generous and they are able to give us quick iterations. Let us know how you feel. And Theo, thanks so much for presenting your work, and Alexia to help him with the translation. Thanks, Afra.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.